I thought you were going to join me in my kitchen because there's nothing else to do like the Super Bowl or anything, right? So I'm just turning this on because no one is home except for me, and I'm finally putting together a quiche. And I'm making quiche a different way than I usually do because I watched that Gordon Ramsay video and he does it differently than I do. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it that way and see if I like it. So since nobody's going to be watching this live, since you're all watching the Super Bowl, I thought this would be a great time to jump on and do something completely different that I've not done before. Right? So I wanted to make these quiches. And the thing about quiches is if you don't buy your crust ahead of time, it's a bit of a faff. And so I ended up making the dough for the crust earlier, and I thought I'd have time today, and I didn't. But that's okay, because whenever you make short crust pastry, you know, you really need to kind of mix it up, wrap it up, and then stick it in the fridge to let it rest. Or you can put it in the freezer and use it later. And so I did that, and I also made my filling, my leek and bacon, and then I just put it in the fridge. And sometimes that's just the best way, is to divide that up. So I always make 2 crusts at a time, and I still use Ann Kaufman's recipe for crust, which is, I use 2 cups flour, 3/4 cups butter, about a cup of liquid, which for me is about a half and half water and vodka, and about a teaspoon of salt. That is my pie crust. So I'm just going to roll this out. And I've got 2 pans. I'm not sure about my filling size because I'm just winging it. Because, you know, you can wing quiche. You can wing quiche. You kind of have to, it's nice to have a custard recipe. And I'm actually not going to use a custard recipe because I saw Gordon Ramsay seemingly winging it. I mean, you can wing it when you're a professional chef. But I'm going to try out his kind of method of making the savory custard. So a lot of this is going to be boring. It's going to be me rolling the pastry out. And I don't find, you know, I actually don't find it really hard to make short crust pastry. It's easy. It's just, you know, a little bit of everything. I've never bought a pre-made crust before, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just don't have them. I'm going to do 2 of these pans. I have 2 of these tart pans, and for some reason I cannot find my bigger one. So I'm going to do 1 small one, I think, and 1 big one, maybe. Actually, you know, I think I'm going to do 2 small ones. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 small ones. I like the small size. I'll tell you, I like the small size tins. You know, the small ones you can get that are disposable. They will fit into a gallon Ziploc bag and you can freeze them. So cool. I think that's good. So I'll put that in there. And I'm going to do something I usually don't do. I'm going to blind bake my crusts. How about that? I usually can't be bothered with that. And do you guys have a bench scraper? Really handy when you're doing doughs, short crusts, bread. It's so nice. I think it's called a bench scraper. You scrape your bench that you're working on. I'm just cutting off the edges. You guys know how to do this with pie crust, right? I mean, you can do it. So Gordon Ramsay in his video, he was using little skillets, little frying pans. Whatever, you can use whatever you want. I'm just going to turn my edges under here. So I've got my oven. Let's just crimp that crust all the way around. I've got my oven set at 400, and I'm going to blind bake these at 400. I think my favorite quiche, oh man, let me tell you about quiche and pastry for me. So I've always made pastry-ish. My mom, where did I go? That was my job at holidays, is my mom would have me make the crust or pies, so I knew how to do it. And then I remember when I first moved to England, so I moved to England after I finished graduate school, and the first thing I did is I moved onto this kind of cooperative organic farm, and I was working in their kitchen, like their commercial kitchen, where we take the farm produce and make it into things to sell at the farmer's market. And the first thing they had me do was make pastry, because we sold tons of quiches and pasties. And I said, yeah, I can make pastry. It turns out I really couldn't make pastry. It's certainly not at that level. So it turns out for like a whole year. Hi. I made pastry every day. So it's not that hard. All right, let's get this going. The trick with pastry really is to keep it cold and not let it get too warm, because then the butter gets cold. But I'm making this assuming that most of you aren't going to make your own pastry, because it's a little time consuming. This is how you do it. You just keep rolling it, keep enough flour on the board. And you might have heard me and wondered why I put vodka in my pie crust. It allows you to hydrate the dough and make it nice and malleable. But the thing about pie crust is it's a short crust, so you don't want to develop gluten. You don't want to develop gluten. You want it to be short. That's the whole thing about short crust, is you want to shorten the gluten fibers, not lengthen them. All right, so I'm just going to press this in here. The reason I like these tart pans is, one, the bottom comes out, but also, can you see what I'm going to do is I press it in there, and then I just fold the edge of the crust over, and it trims automatically really nicely. It's really sweet. Voila. All right, so I'm going to blind bake these. This is not something I usually do. Two reasons I don't blind bake. One, it takes more time, and I mean, let's time for this. And also, I just don't like to use extra foil, but you know, you can recycle foil. I could use, but while I'm on a video, I didn't want to have to do that. All right, and let's get something I don't usually use. Ooh, I know what I'll use. What I'm looking for is some beans that are really old that I can use. You just want to weight them down. So some people have ceramic baking beans that they'll put in there to weight it down. You know what I almost use is I have old, like a lot of old popcorn that I think is stale. In my head, as I was over in my pantry looking for something, I was thinking, oh, I've got that popcorn. I know. I'll use popcorn to blind bake. So I would have had popcorn going off in my oven on a live video. That would have been funny. There we go. And I'll just save these chickpeas. So watch out, dog. So I'll put these in for about 10 minutes. So these are in at 400. I'm going to put them in for 10 minutes. And then clear this off. Of course, if I was a really nice mom, I don't know if your mom did this, but this is what we did, and I still do it for my kids. I would roll out the dough really flat and cut it out into little shapes and put it in a pie tin, prick it with a fork, and sprinkle it with cinnamon sugar and bake it. And when it came out, it would be like little cinnamon sugar cookies. I'm not going to do that. All right. So now we're going to get the filling ready. I usually have a big, much more of a song and dance with my quiches, so I'm really interested to see if this works. Okay, let's get the bowl out. So we're going to make the filling, which is a custard filling. Now typically I make a separate custard filling and then I fill my tart with cheese on the bottom and then sauteed onions and bacon, and then I put a vegetable mixture and then the custard and then cheese on top. And so I've got all these things, and I usually make like 3 quiches at a time, and I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna do that again. I'm gonna do it differently this time. I'm gonna get some eggs. My eggs are really dirty because my chickens are a mess. So for those 2 quiches, so Gordon was doing fewer eggs, so he wanted more of a custardy, creamy sort of custard, and instead of a really eggy custard. I usually do a lot of eggs because, you know, protein. Ugh, some of these eggs are disgusting. Just ignore this. That's 2, 3. Oh. 4. My eggs. I'm going to do 8 eggs between those 2. I don't know. That might work. Let me wash my hands. And I want my filling to be nice. I know I've put salt. So in the filling there's bacon, which is salty, and then I have salted my leeks. So I'm going to guess, and then I'm going to put some cheese in here. So I'm just going to put a little bit more salt in here and some pepper. And I think I'll put some nutmeg in here. And then I'm going to add cream. Cream, and this is just whipping cream. I think I did like half a cup. Let's see what that looks like. So Gordon said he likes like 2/3 filling and 1/3 custard. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a little milk to this too. That's probably about half a cup or so. So I probably have a cup and a half of milk cream to, what did I put in there? 8 eggs. And then he put cheese in this. And of course he used Gruyere, which I don't have right now. Because Gruyere is kind of a traditional cheese to use. You can use any cheese with your quiche. The thing about, who is that on my glasses on? Hi, Tracy. The thing about, it is nice to have some cheese. When I do it, I often use cheddar cheese because that's what I always have the most of. And I'll put it on the bottom, but Gruyere is great. Where's my cheese grater? Gruyere is great. I like feta on my cheese. You can use whatever you like, really, but it's always nice to have cheese on top, being really melty. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grate a bunch of Parmesan. Or cheddar. I got out some Parmesan cheese. I thought maybe I would do some Parm too, but I'll just go with cheddar. And I want some for inside and some for the top. All right. I don't know. That's good. I don't think this is going to be, I don't think you can go wrong on this. I'm going to have a custard. It will set in the oven. And then I'm going to add, my leek. This is my leek and bacon mixture. It's nice. Who doesn't like leek and bacon? And then on top of this, I'm going to add he actually added some herbs to this. He added flat leaf parsley. I don't have flat leaf, but I did notice outside, I've got some volunteer parsley coming back. Yay for herbs! And my chives are coming up, which I'm so glad for. I love, love, love having fresh herbs that I can just go outside on a limb and pick. And parsley and chives are two of my favorites. You can do so much with those. So I just got a tiny bit of baby curly leaf parsley that I'm putting in there. There. And so now when my crusts are ready, I'm going to pull those out. And then, who else is on there? All right, put your glasses on, Karen. Oh, hi, Chrissy. You guys aren't watching the Super Bowl? Is the Super Bowl over? 6, 7, 8, 9. It might be over now. If anybody is watching and knows anything, tell me if the Super Bowl's over and who won. Because I've been out and I haven't been watching it today. Okay. So I've got a little extra cheese ready. What do I need? And I have my filling ready and my crusts are almost ready. And it's just time to assemble them. Anything could go wrong, right? But who cares? I like a ladle to fill my quiches with. How do these crusts look? Oh, it kind of works, doesn't it? Do you want to see the rest of this? I don't know if this is worth watching. I'm going to wait 2 more minutes. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take those crusts out, and I'm going to take the foil out, and then I'm going to put them back in there for about 3 more minutes to really like get the crust nice and crispy. And then so that's going to be like a total of maybe 15 minutes for the crust baking. And then I'm going to mix up this liquid, and I'm going to fill both my tart tins up, my quiche tins up, with the filling, and I'm going to sprinkle a little extra cheese over the top, and I'm going to bake them again, put them all in at about 400 for another, I don't know, 30 minutes until they're set. Until they're set and the cheese is bubbly on the top and a little browning, tiny bit brown. And that's it. And then I'm going to take them out, and that's quiche. So I love having quiche or frittatas, but quiche always feels, hi Lori, quiche always feels so wonderful. I love it because it makes a really nice lunch or quick breakfast. You know, people are saying, oh, I need a good blood sugar balancing breakfast that's quick, or a quick lunch to take. You know, making frittatas or quiches on the weekends, you know, to make it more convenient, just buy the stinking crust. Or, I mean, frittatas don't even have a crust, which is great if you're really watching your blood sugar, or if you're gluten-free, though there's plenty of good gluten-free crust recipes. It's just such a quick meal. I mean, a quiche and a salad is one of my favorite lunches. So I'm going to get on with this because you're going to just be having to wait for things to bake instead of watching. This was the meat of it, and what you didn't see was me when I cooked the leek and bacon. If you're wondering how I did that filling, first, you always have to cook your leek filling or your quiche fillings. Do not put raw vegetables into your quiche because the liquid will go out and you'll have a really soggy quiche. So this, I just sauteed I chopped up the leeks really fine, cut up small bits of that bacon, almost like it was trying to shred it. And then I sauteed it with a little extra salt, so it all was cooked down really crispy and flavorful. That's how you do it. If you are putting, if you're doing mushrooms, I will saute mushrooms. You can put raw mushrooms in a quiche. That's one thing you can do. But like spinach quiches, you have to cook your spinach or get, the frozen spinach that's cooked. And then, of course, you need to thaw it out like in a colander and squeeze all the liquid out. Broccoli, you've got to do that. So you've got to cook everything. So that was it. And then when it was done, I just put those fillings. I'm going to save these so I can use them again. And then for me today, I took those fillings, 1, 2, 3, and I just put them in the fridge until I was ready, because sometimes you're making something and then I wanted to go out for lunch with my son and take him out on a date. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to let quiche get in my way of time with my son. So I just stuck the whole thing in the fridge and got it later. And honestly, sometimes when you're thinking of prepping things for the week, on the weekends, you could make some crusts or buy some pre-made crusts and then cook some quiche fillings. Or, you know, if you're thinking ahead, well, if I'm going to prep some other vegetables for other things, and then they could, as leftovers, be quiche fillings. But otherwise, you know, cook up. I sauteed leeks and bacon while I was cleaning, doing some kitchen and housework today. And then put it in the fridge, and later this week when you have a little time, you could just throw those together and pop them in the oven and bam, instant quiche. So that's a nice prep you could do. Yeah, if I think about it, I will add so there's that video, Gordon Ramsay, but I have a blog post with my quiche recipe that's my tried and true. It has my crust and my usual custard recipe that actually works, as opposed to what I'm doing here, which is, who knows what I'm doing here. And I'll attach it to this post at the bottom of this video, okay? Thanks for watching, you guys, and have a really good week.